All right, everybody, it is time for my favorite part of every single video that we do. It is time to make the list. As I always encourage, please feel free to comment along in the comment section or send your list to the email address, eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That email address is in every single video description that we post. I'd love to see your favorite Power Rangers. All right, your number one favorite, your top 2, top 5, top 10. Would love to hear it. It's one of those cool generational things where everybody started from a different spot. All right, there's a lot from my generation, from my age group that started with Mighty Morphin. But if you go talk to my brother, his first generation of Power Rangers was Wild Force. So different seasons, different variation of the Power Rangers mean different things to different people. So it's one of those cool things. It's like Star Wars, where some people have a special affinity for the OG, and my generation loves the prequels, and then the newer generation, maybe some of them like the sequel trilogy. So it's kind of one of those deals. But let's get to it. Here are my top 10 favorite Power Rangers, starting off with my number 10, Justin Stewart. All right, the Blue Turbo Power Ranger. I know. I can't believe how hated Justin is. I really can't. Like, you try to look up some good stuff on him, and there's people like me who have a special reason for liking him, but there's a lot of people who cannot stand Justin as a Power Ranger. Here's why I like Justin as a Power Ranger. Relatability. The Turbo Ranger movie came out in 1997. And I was 6 years old at the time. Justin, I think, was portrayed as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. So he's a couple years older than me. And he gets to be a Power Ranger. All right, somebody who looked just kind of like me. Not so much the bowl cut thing going on, but somebody who was growing up just like me, who had, it was cool. Again, simply put, relatability. And that goes a long way for me, and I think it goes a long way for just about anybody who has a favorite fictional character, is that relatability aspect. Seeing him in the movie was exciting. Mountain Blaster Turbo Power, and all of a sudden he's taller. He was kind of crazy but cool, and I thought he fit in pretty good with the team. It was really nice, and yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but I do remember getting the Blue Turbo Ranger toy because I wanted it that bad. It was either Christmas or my birthday, and I got it. And I think it was the only Turbo Ranger toy that I ever got. I don't think I got any of the other ones that season, but just relatability. All right, Justin was cool. He's cool in my book. I know the actor has had some troubles. Some personal life troubles and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, that happens with a lot of child actors. But I still look back on this run, the character of Justin, very, very fondly. And, it meant a lot to me as a kid to see a kid be a Power Ranger. And especially my personal favorite color, blue. So that's my number 10, Justin Stewart. Number 9, I'm going to go to Aisha Campbell, the second Power Ranger, the second yellow Power Ranger, excuse me. And listen, I love Trini. She did not make the top 10 list. Trini's unfortunate and early, untimely passing, I didn't get a whole lot of Trini. All right, it was like a season and a half, and because her life was cut so short, she never got a chance to return and do some of the extra appearances that I would have loved. I would have loved to see her in, and a lot of them, the original Rangers are coming back and doing extra movies and stuff as best as they can. It's Trini is unfortunate, but Aisha there's a feistiness with her that I just loved and adored so much. Coming into the show, like, she just had this tude that Trini never really showed. And like, there's a couple lines and things that she had in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie that I just laughed at and loved. My favorite Aisha moment was when they're in the Ninja Zord in the movie, and they're fighting Ivan Ooze in space. And for some ungodly reason, there's a button where if you smash it, it knees whatever opponent the Ninja Sword is fighting in the balls for whatever reason. She just happened to be sitting right by it. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. She breaks the glass, smashes the button, knees the giant Ivanus in the balls, and it goes into the comet and blows up. But Aisha did really well as a Yellow Ranger. I'm not sure the behind-the-scenes reason why she went away from it. I know in the storyline, she gave up her... was it Crystal? But she gave it up to Tanya, who was the Zeo and Turbo Yellow Ranger. But yeah, I loved Aisha. She's so sassy, feisty, and God, she brought a great spirit to the Power Rangers team. Actually, when McDonald's was having when they did the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers toys where they had the Zords and you'd open them up and it'd be like a mini play set, I'm pretty sure I had the Yellow Bear one. So Aisha's always I've always had a fondness for Aisha, and she is my number 9. Number 8, I'm going to go with Catherine Hillard, who was the second pink Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, as well as the Zeo and Turbo Ranger. Big shoes to fill with Kimberly. And we're going to talk a lot about Kimberly in just a little bit, but Kat was different. She did a good job of separating herself and getting out of, at least I think, getting out of Kimberly's shadow. It's hard to follow greatness. But Kat brought a different touch to it. She had like a motherly vibe to it, like a team kind of mom vibe. Like she was came off as such a sweetheart in a different way, right? She had that like British or Australian accent, whatever it was, but she was always like kind of caring. Like she never came off as like this like big like ass kicker kind of Power Ranger, but she was just soft, sweet, smart, and caring. And I think it was a nice, different take on the Power Rangers. And Kat lasted a pretty long time. She was, like I said, second Pink Mighty Morphin, and then she did the Zeo and Turbo seasons, and she became an integral part. She was, I think I don't really know if they did like a love interest kind of thing with her and Tommy. I can't really recall, but she did great. I was actually just watching the episode where she took over for Kimberly because Kimberly was a little undecided on in character about continuing out with the Rangers, and she suggested Kat, and it was really cool power transfer. So I dealt a lot with Catherine growing up as the Pink Ranger, and she comes into my number 8. So there we go. Number 7, the OG Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, Zach Taylor. God, this guy's awesome. He brought a fun style to the Power Rangers, right? Like flavor, so to speak. And like this is around the time where hip hop is really starting to break out. Like it's everywhere. I think about like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and hip hop played a big part. It was one of the big themes of how that show was. And Zach would brought that level, that theme, that vibe to the Power Rangers. And it was neat. Like his fighting style, obviously a lot of the in costume stuff was just the Super Sentai stuff, just kind of poured it over. With their voices, but the out of costume stuff where they're fighting the putties and other monsters, it was kind of cool to see him add like a hip hop kind of martial arts style to the show. I thought it was neat. I thought it was really well done. He had some great attires, and Zach stood out. I think he was often portrayed as like the second in command. But he was so smooth. I was really sad to see him go. Glad to see him kind of come back into it in some instances. I think he's done a couple of the modern stuff where some of the actors kind of come back. But I got super excited when I seen the actor. He popped up on an I Love 90s VH1 show, I think it was. And I was like, man, I'm glad to see him still doing good. There's also like this other little thing too. It's like this ASMR thing. For some reason, the way he calls on the Thunderzords, his Thunderzord, it's so smooth. All right, it's unmatched how smooth this is. Mastodon, Lion, Thunderzord power. And I don't know why. It just hits all the right notes. I love listening to it. It's just super smooth. And yeah, Zach is awesome. And yeah, I was really, really sad to see him go. I actually have a Christmas ornament of him as the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Back in the early days of the merchandise. Like this is like the first season stuff, but it's a wooden ornament, like kind of like a wreath, but there's just the Black Power Ranger head right in the middle of it, and I have that. So, yep, number 7, Zach Taylor. My number 6 was Zach's replacement in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, as well as the Green Zeo and Turbo Ranger, but it's Adam Park. Johnny Young Bosch is the actor who played as him, and I thought he filled in nicely. Another like big shoes kind of fill in, all right, because Zach was super popular when he left the show, and to come into that being the young guy, and he did great. Eventually, if I'm not mistaken, he was portrayed as second in command for Zeo and Turbo seasons to Tommy. Just done really well. Just did really well. Got a few seasons out of him. I liked he was kind of like this. He was portrayed as like a hopeless romantic in some. Because I'm watching the episodes where he first joined, and he was looking for a date, and he got bamboozled by a Scorpina. And then there's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers scene where he was like, "I'm a frog," and he was so mad about it. But then he got a kiss from oh God, with the whistling sticks lady. Oh God, I can't remember her name. I just heard it too. But like, yeah, he was just tremendous, and did great in Zeo, did great in Turbo. Adam Park is a great dude. I want to meet the actor. I would love to meet the actor. I really truly would, because I actually seen a video about 10 to 12 years ago. Somebody was meeting him at a Comic-Con or something, and he was literally, he was begging this kid, whoever was signing up for asking for the autograph, to name something else that he was in. And a person couldn't name it. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, and in one of the modern games, I think it would be Final Fantasy Dissidia, he voiced one of my favorite characters, Furion, from Final Fantasy II. So he's the voice of that character. So I always thought that was a pretty cool connection, that he was a part of something else that I love. But yeah, Adam Park comes in at number 6. Would love to meet him. I mean, a lot of these other characters, but I would love to meet Johnny Young Bosch. All right, number 5, Billy Cranston, the original blue Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. He stood out so well. First and foremost, again, blue is my favorite color. All right, blue is my favorite color. Triceratops is a cool dinosaur that I always liked. And I always liked that Billy was the nerd. He was the group nerd. And, you got Kimberly, who does gymnastics. And you got Jason, who's a kind of meathead, kind of workout dude. And then you got Billy, who does the science. He's big in the science stuff. And he's using all sorts of big technical terms, and can handle a lot of the command center stuff and a lot of the technological stuff that they utilize. And Billy was good fun. Billy was good fun too. And this is it's another angle where like the Power Rangers cast, everybody brought something different to the table. I was really sad when Billy didn't get to be a Zeo Ranger, when he was kind of like a helper at the command center and then eventually left the show. I was pretty sad about that. I really wanted him to be the Gold Ranger. And he just never, ever got a chance to, and he ended up leaving the show. But I'm glad to see he's kind of come back around to some of these special projects that they have. But, yeah, Billy was great. Blue favorite color. The wolf, he got to be the wolf in the movie. So, yeah, shout out Billy. That's my number 5. All right, my number 4 is my childhood crush. All right, it is Kimberly Hart, played by Amy Jo Johnson. Man, if you were a young lad in the 1990s, it was Topanga or it was Kimberly. There might have been one more thrown in there, right? But for me, Kimberly all day. Power Rangers guy. Kimberly was the GOAT, the absolute GOAT. attractive, kind, sweet, caring, but also a bit of a badass. All right, she was very well balanced, and pun intended because of her gymnastics usage and her role as a gymnast and stuff. They like to show that off quite a bit. I love Trini, but to me, Kimberly set the bar high on what it meant to be a female Power Ranger. All right, she did. She really did. She was iconic for what she brought to the table. And I love that because growing up and watching these shows, right, you try to find stuff that, everybody in your household likes. Kimberly was a reason why people like my sister would sit down and watch Power Rangers on occasion. Because, hey, here's a badass girl fitting in right with the dudes. All right, it was the reason why everybody could watch Power Rangers. It wasn't just for young boys. All right, you can find some relatability with the Pink and Yellow Ranger, but Kimberly was the face of it, and she did such a good job, such a great job. I love the powers of the Pink Ranger, right? Being able to use the that bow, I thought was always really cool. Pterodactyl's a cool dinosaur, so I loved it for that. And she was just great in the movies. Great in the movies. I was really excited to see her come back in the Turbo Ranger movie. But, kudos to Kimberly. Tone setter and the GOAT female Ranger, in my opinion. So that's my number 4. Number 3, this is the GOAT Power Ranger in general. If I was making a list of all of the best Power Rangers of all time, he would be number 1. And that is Tommy Oliver. All right, but these are my favorites. He comes in at number 3. All right, what an entrance he got to have. The Green Ranger storyline was so awesome. All right, he starts off as evil, and he gets beaten up and broken the spell, and now he's on the side of good. Dragon Zord! And that Dragon Zord used to scare the crap out of me, too, the way that they portrayed it. Coming out of the water, it legitimately used to scare me. But Tommy always had, the best of everything. He always had the best of everything, and he eventually made his way into being the team's leader. But, the Tiger Zord. I used to have a tiger, the sword, the Saba sword. I used to have a toy of that, and I miss it dearly. That thing was cool. It had a cool rubber edge on it, and it talked. God, that thing was awesome. But that white tiger Power Ranger costume was awesome. That was really good. And, Tommy really took the role by the horns. When you're watching the original season and you see, he kind of comes into the fold, you would have never suspected that he'd be the face of the Power Rangers franchise. Not just for his time on it between, Mighty Morphin and Turbo, but just forever and in keeping up the popularity. I mean, coming back for Dino Thunder, which is an era where my brother watched and loved. So I got to enjoy Tommy in his original incarnation, and my brother grew up with a different version of Tommy, and that connects the generations together. Jason David Frank. It really broke my heart when I heard that he passed away, that he took his own life. It was eye-opening for me, because how could somebody, just on the outside looking in, how could somebody who's so beloved, where he goes, he's just revered by fans, he's touched so many hearts, put smiles on so many people's faces, be that sad and feel the need to do something like that? And obviously it's much deeper than being loved. But that really broke me and was tragic to hear, because this guy was committed to the bit. Committed. He went to so many Comic-Cons. He did so many little extra features. This man was the Power Rangers, hands down. And I love them. I have the Green Ranger, the morphing flip head Green Ranger. I still have that somewhere. Uh, yeah, it's sad, but yeah, Tommy's awesome. I was really hoping to see. I was really looking forward to see who would portray him in the newer updated Power Rangers film, but I don't think that's gonna happen ever, sadly and unfortunately. But I don't know. Once they bounced Tommy and the rest of the crew randomly in the middle of Turbo, that's kind of when my interest really started to fade. It did. So, but yeah, Tommy the GOAT. My number 3 favorite. My number 2 is Jason, the original red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. When you're young, you like the leaders. And it also helped, too, that I love the T-Rex. It's like my favorite dinosaur. And the Tyrannosaurus Zord was awesome looking. I used to have a rubber finger puppet of the red of the Tyrannosaurus Zord, and man, it was cool. But yeah, Jason was just awesome. I mean, he had the look, right? He was just a big, strong dude, martial artist. He wore the tank tops all the time, and he had the big muscles, and he had such an intense way of calling for his Zords and stuff. He was awesome, man. He was awesome. Another one where I was really sad to see him leave the show after a season and a half. I understand why him and everybody did it. You know, unfortunately, money is the root of the problem, especially with all the merchandise stuff. But man, I had so much Red Ranger merchandise. I remember, at a birthday party, one of my birthday years, I did a Power Ranger theme. It might have been my 4th. And my Uncle Chucky had a blow-up Power Ranger, like Red Ranger sword that he won from like Fantasy Island or Darien Lake, and he gave it to me. And I loved the crap out of that thing. Loved it. Then about 10 years ago, when they were re-releasing a lot of the Power Rangers T-shirts with the I got the Red Ranger one because, again, I grew up loving Jason. But I was super excited when he came back as the Gold Zeo Ranger. Super excited for that because he was, like, to see him return and fit in with this new team that he really hadn't interacted with a lot of the characters. It meant a lot to me. So a guy who I love to meet. I know he's had some personal struggles, but it's not going to take away from the fact that this character meant so much to me as a kid. And loved Jason Lee Scott. He's my number 2. My number 1, this one might surprise a lot of people, but I think there's really one name left from this OG group that I haven't mentioned. I love Rocky. I love Rocky DeSantos. He is my favorite Power Ranger character of all time. He is. And I was actually very fortunate to meet Steve Cardenas, who portrayed Rocky. I was at a Comic-Con in Rochester in 2018. It was September of 2018 because I remember it was opening weekend for the NFL. And he was there. He was the special guest, and we were at our podcast network had a table. And 2 of them did a Power Ranger show. And I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of money, but I really want to meet this guy because I loved watching Rocky as a kid. So I went up, paid the money, got a picture with him, got an autograph from him, and it was really cool because he ended up coming over to our table, and despite some technical issues, recorded like a 30-minute, 45-minute podcast with the Power Rangers guys. And like at that point, I didn't want to fanboy too much in front of him because I had done pro wrestling. I did, I got to meet a lot of heroes. It was kind of discouraged to fanboy because you realize that a lot of these entertainers just want to be treated like normal people. But I loved Rocky when he came on. I'm a big fan of people who have to follow in other people's footsteps in hopes that they can pave their own path. We talked about a couple of them today with like Aisha and Kat and Adam. But Rocky had probably the biggest shoes to fill because Jason was the first GOAT of Power Rangers. And he came in, and I always viewed him as like second in command because that was what the Red Ranger was. And yeah, I always like watching and going to find his like single like focus episodes, like the Pachinko Machine, the one where his uncle was the football like quarterback, and he has the one line, "You picked the wrong day to mess with me, lace face," and it was so cool. But Steve Cardenas, if you ever happen to watch this, thank you. I got so sad when I had to watch you get hurt in the Turbo movie, like depressingly sad watching that. I'm like, he broke his back? And he kind of just faded out. Obviously, you had personal life stuff or whatever happened. I don't know what happened with that, but Rocky to me is my favorite. I really got to find that autograph picture. I really do. But yeah, he was fierce. He was feisty. And Steve Cardenas, the only Power Ranger I've ever met in my life. High regards for you. So, all right, there it is, everybody. That is the Power Rangers list. Thank you for letting me get this off my chest. I loved it. I love being able to talk about it. Power Rangers is cool. Power Rangers is fun. And I was glad to be able to share that love of it with each and every single one of you. Have a great weekend. I love and appreciate you all. And till next time, do you even list?